Hello students, a very warm welcome to yet another exciting journey of learning English grammar. But before we actually learn something new today, let's begin with the warming up activity. Kids, do you know what the warming up activity is called? It's called the knee play. I hope you know what the knee play means. It's a warming up exercise which you should be doing now with me at my count of 4. So first, stand in a comfortable position. Make sure there are no things around you. You're standing in a place where you can lift your hand up, down and sideways. To begin with, first stand with the feet a little bit apart, and then when I say 1, your hands go on top like this, and then when I say 2, your arms comes down straight and your knee will bend. So you're going to bend like this. Then when I say 3, stand straight again and raise your hand. At my count of 4, come back to the normal position. So students, the demo is done. Now it's time for you to do the warming up activity or the exercise. So again, at my count of 1, 2, 3, 4, take your positions and bend your knees accordingly. 1, hands straight up in the air. 2, hands in front of you and your knee bent. 3, go back again, that's hands up in the air. 4, relax with your hands down and your feet together again. So this time I shall not explain it to you, it's only going to be the counts. So please work or exercise accordingly. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Good. Last one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good, my dear children. I hope you enjoyed the knee play activity. Now it's time for the special moment. What is that? It is called the Pearl of Wisdom. And what is that thought that I have got for you today? Let's see. So kids, the thought is that show respect to everyone, even to those who are not kind to you, who don't deserve your kindness, but still you should be showing respect to all those people. Not that because they are good, it's because you are good. So in order to accentuate your own character, you will have to show respect to people who don't deserve. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, this is a difficult one. Why would we want to talk to the people who annoy us? Right. That's a very correct question that you have right now in your mind. Well, those who do wrong to us, they would have already shown their character. Now, the way you respond to them makes you. If you respond with politeness, with kind words and with respect, then this will actually accentuate your own character, and then you will be overpowering the person who is trying to harm you. Isn't that easy to understand now? Yes. Now you might be thinking, how shall I actually apply this into my life? So whenever you have a neighbor who is a little disturbing all the time, he comes often to you to either take you off from your studies or try to deviate you from your own work. Just give them a pleasant smile and say politely that you are not available right now to talk to him or her, and gently ask them to go back to their home, and you shall continue go back to studies. So kids, I hope you have understood and learned how to tackle people whom we do not like, but with full grace and with politeness. I hope you will apply this into your lives in every coming situations where you will be forced to get angry, where you will be forced to get annoyed. Alright kids, this was a pearl of wisdom that I got for you today. Do develop the patience that you need in order to follow this thought. Now let's move on to the topic prepositions. That's the topic of the day. Students, I want you all to come to page number 138 on your English grammar book. Now what you need to do here, you can see on page number 138 there is an activity given here. That is, look at the picture and try to describe it to your partner. Here there is no partner with you, but you can actually write down the sentences in the book that you have in front of you. So what is happening in the picture? And look at the sentences. I'll give you 30 seconds to complete this. Okay children, I hope you've got the answers. So what is happening there? This is a picture of a zoo. Yes, it is. Then there are many animals at the zoo. Two children are sitting on the elephant. The crocodile is in the pond. The people are standing beside the crocodile pond. Now if you look at these sentences, there are a few words which give us the relationship between the noun and the other part of the sentence. It could be also talking about the time, the space, the movement, or the place. So such words are called prepositions. So kids, after looking at the picture on that page 138, these are the following sentences that we could frame. Now I want you to observe these sentences very closely. This is a picture of a zoo. So here I am underlining certain words which you might be thinking, why am I doing so? So there are many animals at the zoo. Two children are sitting on the elephant. Then you have the crocodile is in the pond. This. The people are standing beside the crocodile pond. Now kids, if you observe these sentences, I have underlined a few words like off, at, on, in and beside. So what are these words? They are nothing but the prepositions. So now what are they doing here in the sentence? They are actually trying to build in a relationship between the noun and the other part of the sentence. So what is a preposition? Again, if you look at this example, one more example, the people are standing beside the crocodile pond. So there is a noun and there is an object with which they are trying to create a relationship. So again, to define preposition, which you will have to remember really well, this is very, very important. A word, or it's a parenthesis, a word or a group of words that shows place, position, time or movement in relation to a noun is a preposition. So how do we connect this place, position, time and movement over here? You might see one of the examples. The two children are sitting on the elephant. So where are the children sitting? The children are sitting on the elephant. So that's the particular position of the noun which it is giving with the object. So kids, I hope you understood what the term preposition mean, what it actually is in the sentence. So kids, the next part under preposition is the object of the preposition. Now what is the object of the preposition? It is a preposition is a word that is placed before a noun or a pronoun to show its relationship to some other word in the sentence. Okay, so we know now what is preposition. It is a word in the sentence which actually connects, it is placed before the noun or a pronoun and it connects with the other part of the sentence. Now that other part of the sentence is nothing but the object of the preposition. So is the object of that is the object of the preposition. They can be a gerund, a noun phrase or a clause. Now gerund, noun phrase and or a clause. So these are three different ways in which you will be able to see the object of the preposition. So before we go on further with the examples, I hope you have understood what preposition is and what the object of preposition is. Yes? Good. So just to quickly recall, what is a preposition? A preposition is a word which is placed before the noun and that shows the place, position, time or movement in relationship to the noun in the sentence or in the preposition. So it is one of the 8 main parts of the speech in English. So you are already aware that there are 8 parts of speech, and out of all those 8 there is one important part of speech, that is preposition. And then what do they allow us to do? What is so special about prepositions? It creates a complex sentences and it adds more important details to the sentence. So it gives or it accentuates the details in the sentence. Next, they are defined based on their function in a sentence. So whatever the example is, for example, we saw the previous example, the people at the zoo, the elephant, the 2 children sitting on the elephant, etc. All those are having prepositions and they are showing a particular place, or they are referring to some particular time, or they are referring to particular movement. So such activities or such kind of scenarios is seen only because of prepositions. So look at the example now here. Rahul is hiding behind the tall grey pillar. So now if you look at these sentences here, it says Rahul is hiding behind the tall grey pillar. Now the word behind is nothing but the preposition, and whatever is followed by that, this is called the noun phrase. So here the relationship between the noun phrase and the other part of the sentence is brought by the preposition. And what is the preposition in this particular sentence? It is behind. So this is noun phrase, that's the object of the preposition. So because the preposition is here and we are talking about this, so this becomes the object of the preposition. Next one, I will call you before leaving. So if you see here, the word before is nothing but the preposition. Leaving, this one, which is in the form of ing, is a gerund. So we learn this gerund under the kinds of verb. So when we learn verb in details, you will be understanding what a gerund is. So a gerund is usually a word, an action word which ends with ing in the end. So leaving. So leaving is the gerund here. The road runs over hill and plains. So this word over here is a, what is this? It's a preposition, right? Over is a preposition, and hill and plains, these two are nothing but the object of the preposition. So they are nothing but the object of the preposition. And if you notice, this sentence has two objects. Here there is only one particular object. See here, the tall grey pillar. That is only one object. Here it is having two objects. Next, the last sentence, it says, give the books to whoever wants them. So here it is nothing but the clause. So when we are going to learn about sentences in detail, we will learn the complex sentence, the compound sentence and the simple sentences. So this particular clause and phrase comes into picture in the complex sentences, which we shall be doing later. But now the word whoever wants them. Whoever wants them is nothing but a clause. So kids, I hope you have understood the meaning of preposition, the object of the preposition, and how the noun is connected, or the pronoun is connected with other parts of the sentences with the preposition, or using the preposition. Kids, it's now time to move on to the next topic under this chapter, preposition. We shall now learn the kinds of prepositions. So here are the list of the prepositions and their kinds. So simple preposition, first one, compound preposition, then you have a phrase preposition, participial preposition and double preposition. These are some of the examples of these particular prepositions. Now, simple preposition, roughly I'll tell you, is just one word prepositions like at, by, something like that. Then compound prepositions are like among, amongst. Then you have phrase preposition, which is nothing but during, decaying. As I told you, it has a gerund there. And then participial preposition, on behalf of, by dint of. And the last one, that's double preposition, is, the example is for ages, for good. So this was a collective presentation of how many kinds of preposition are there. So can you repeat it for me now? How many types or how many kinds of prepositions do you learn in this chapter? Yes, you're right, we learned 5 kinds. So name any 2. Can you name any 2 prepositions? Yes, very good. That is simple prepositions and the compound prepositions. Or you can also say double prepositions. So kids, let's move on understanding all these kinds of preposition in detail. So kids, the first kind here is the simple preposition. They are one word prepositions. For example, at, by, for, from, in, of, on, out, to, up to, of, through, till, up, with, and many more. You can actually refer to some other books online, or you can go to some websites, English learning websites, where you would find more examples on these particular simple prepositions. Look at the example. Now they are being used in the sentence. The bird is on the tree. The bird is on the tree. So here on. So where is the bird? It's on the tree. Which is the object here? The tree. The tree is the object here. And the noun is placed before the preposition is placed before the noun. So the bird is on the tree. The next one, keep the books on the table away from the chalk. So here again you have on the table away from the chalk. All these two phrases or clauses have the simple prepositions. So kids, now let's move on to the second kind. So the next one is the compound preposition here. So it says they are generally formed by prefixing a preposition, usually a or by, to a noun and an adjective or an adverb. So here you can see that there would be a noun, there would be an adjective, or there would be an adverb in the sentence which is going to tell us about the preposition, or which acts like a preposition. Now what is special about compound? It's that there is an addition of the letter a, or there will be an addition by on the preposition. So for example, about, above, across, along, amidst, and then among. So all these, if you observe closely, have the letter A, right? They have the letter A. Next, he succeeded by dint of perseverance and sheer hard work. So here if you see by dint of, which we had just seen a chart before, so this is nothing but a compound preposition. So here more than two words, and if you see by is there, so be, by, this, the usage of by will come here in this particular compound preposition. Now let's move on to the next kind of preposition. So kids, the next kind is the double preposition. They are made up of two words. For example, for ages, for good. This is another example where you have used these double prepositions in a sentence. Okay, so the sentence is like this: I haven't seen you for ages. Where have you been? I haven't seen you for ages. So this particular preposition is nothing but a double preposition. So students, here the second one, I'm not coming back this time, I'm leaving for good. So here if you see, for good is having two words, and that's why it's called double preposition, and this is how it could be used in a sentence. So kids, now we shall move on to the next kind. So kids, the next kind is participial prepositions. Now these are present participial forms of the verbs and are used without any noun or a pronoun being attached to them. They have ing in the end. Now if you could go back to the chapter adjectives, there we learned one kind of adjective, that is participial adjective. They were in two forms, that is past form, past participial form, and then you have the present participial form. So if you see the past participial form, they will be having ed in the end. For example, smeared, so they have ed in the end, right? Now Present participle, which is in present, happening right now, continuing right now. So they will be ending with ing. Okay, so they will have ing in the present participle. So that is what the preposition here says, that when the participle preposition is used in the sentence, they will not be attached to any noun or a pronoun. It's simply used there, and they, in this particular example, look at the example, I want you to read it. Ulysses is said to have invented the game of chess during the siege of Troy. Now here if you see, during has ing, right? So this makes it a participial preposition. So kids, I hope you have understood this kind of preposition. Kids, the next one is the phrase preposition. It is also called as the prepositional phrase. We already know what phrase is when we did the first chapter, sentences. So it's just group of words, they are linked grammatically, but they do not have any meaning of their own. So they are groups of words used as a single preposition. See, on the table. So here they are just grammatically linked with a particular object, but it does not have any meaning of it until it is put in a correct sentence. For example, the book is on the table, then it makes sense, right? Now, under the table, beside the table, the cat sat under the dirty, decaying table. So this is phrase preposition. I hope you understood this, and this is one of the most easiest one to be remembered. So kids, now it's time for us to recall whatever we have learned, all the 4 or 5 kinds of prepositions and their usage. So here the first one, the bird is dash the tree. So what do you think the answer would be here? Yes, many of them have got the correct answer in the first go. Yes, the bird is on the tree. That's the correct answer. Don't loiter dash the street. What could you write? Yes? Which phrase, which preposition will it come in from? So yes, you can also write don't loiter around or about the street. So here you can write don't loiter about the street. Next, he died fighting dash his country. This is very simple. There are 2 types of prepositions which we could use. Which are those? Yes, you are right. We can use he died fighting for his country. That is simple preposition. Or you can also write the other one. He died fighting on behalf of his country. Now which one is that? That is the last preposition. So we can write here on behalf of his country. The next one is the plan you mentioned ed. Here, the plan that you mentioned, I shall write to you hereafter. So what would be the word here? I'll give you a hint. We can add a verb, respect. So tell me what is the word that I can use in this blank. If you remember the gerund preposition, where the gerund is used as a preposition, try to apply that rule. Yes, you're right. That's the word. That is respecting the plan you mentioned, I shall write to you hereafter. So kids, wasn't it an easy worksheet to be solved? Yes, it was easy. Now it's time for us to conclude the chapter with a mind map and one particular activity. So kids, I want you all to come to page number 141 in your English grammar book. Now you will have to solve these two exercises, exercises A and B. B is on 142 page by yourself as homework. So, and then there is another page, that is page number 139 and 140. So come to those pages, 139 and 140. So you are going to do this as a homework. Now this is a preparation for your next coming video, the part 2 video on prepositions. So I want you to go through those two pages, the table on 139 and then some more prepositions on page 140. That's one homework. The second homework is solve the exercises given on page 141 and 142. So kids, as a part of our concluding activity, let's continue solving these 5 questions. The dog ran dash the road. I'll read the questions to you while you all try to think about the answer. The river flows dash the bridge. The work was done dash the haste. He is afraid dash the dog. I am fond dash music. Isn't it easy? Yes. Now give me the answers. So the first one is the dog ran dash the road. Yes, tell me, what would it be? Yes, you're right. It would be across the road. The river flows dash the bridge. So that's the bridge and the river is flowing below it, right? Under it. So something like that. So under the bridge. The work was done dash the haste. Yes? Tell me, what do you think is the correct answer? There is no the here. Now try to solve the question. The work was done, yes, in haste. He is afraid dash the dog. So what would you write here? He is afraid of the dog. I am fond of dash music. So what preposition would you add here? Yes, I am fond of music. Okay. So kids, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson, understood, and you shall do the homework, revise the chapter, read the chapter from the textbook, and then I'm sure this preposition chapter is going to be just like a piece of cake for you. Now I shall take leave and meet again the next video. Until then, you all take care and happy learning.